It's time to lock in. We're talking SEC, college football, and more. This is AP as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama. This is AP as we see it, a weekly syndicated 1-hour show discussing the Southeastern Conference, college football, and other sports. Welcome to another edition of AP as we see it. Excuse me. We like to direct our audience to our social media platforms on Facebook, on our X account, and also on our Instagram. Also, we have the visual of our broadcast on YouTube channel at AP as we see it, and we're archived with our audio on Spotify and across the Southeast on 20 to 25 stations. It airs Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So check your local listing. But we'll also have our social media platforms at AP Stedham as well, the Facebook, the Instagram, and the X account. But like I said, check out our YouTube channel at AP as we see it for our broadcast. And visually, you can check that out. And we also have our interviews that we conduct along the way at the different events, whether it's college football, NFL games with the Saints or other teams, basketball. Last week we were at the LSU men's and women's basketball in New Orleans. So you can check out all those events. National Football Foundation, College Football Hall of Fame that was held in Las Vegas, the induction ceremony. We interviewed Nick Saban. We interviewed Greg Carr, the Auburn linebacker. We interviewed Terry Henrader from Notre Dame, and also Dennis Thurman from USC. So you can watch all those videos on our YouTube channel at AP as we see it. And we'd like to thank our sponsors, Greer's Markets, 29 locations, 109 years in business. They're in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the Gulf Coast and beyond. They have Lucy's Famous Recipes, and there's actually a holiday recipe contest. You can win prizes first, second, and third. They're gift cards from Greer's. So see if you want to participate. Present those at your local Greer's store. Remember, family, friends, and football is a winning tradition at Greer's. You can score big savings on all the delicious food and the items that Greer's Markets has in their stores. The groceries to go, if you have to have something delivered for those Christmas parties, those holidays, those special occasions, those football games, basketball games, you go to groceries to go to deliver to your home, your office, the venue of your choice. And they also have the coloring contest for their children. So there's things for the adults, the recipe contest, and I'm sure children can enter that as well, but also the coloring contest for the children. So check out the online weekly ads. You'll have big savings there. And with these holidays coming up, all these college football playoff games, basketball games, you can find everything that you need at Greer's or have it delivered to you, groceries to go online. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. We'd also like to mention our sponsor, Robertsdale Dental Care, Dr. Jason Northcutt at 251-947-3636. Not only are basic services offered by Dr. Jason Northcutt, but he has developed a niche within the practice providing comprehensive dental implant services such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. Dr. Jason Northcutt has been highly trained in these disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems. So come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt and his staff in Robertsdale, 251-947-3636. We'd also like to mention the Cortland Grand Hotel in downtown Atlanta, the spacious rooms, big suites that they can provide you. They have a beautiful pool, which is indoor, the serene tropical setting right down in the heart of Atlanta. They have the restaurants, the gift shops, the outstanding breakfast, the lounges. Ben Giacomo and his staff provide outstanding hospitality for all the visitors. I've stayed there many, many times when I'm in ATL, Atlanta. So check out the Cortland Grand Hotel. And we like to make mention of our couple of guests that we're going to be having. Segment 2 will be Leanne Herring. She's the Director of Recruiting for Rebel Walk USA Today, our columnist for Saturday Down South as well. And then segment 3 will be Tyler Shaw. He's the sports director of KBTX, College Station, Texas, a CBS affiliate. So Leanne will be discussing that college football playoff game between Tulane from the American Athletic Conference versus Ole Miss out of the Southeastern Conference. That's a rematch of an earlier game played this season. We'll discuss that with her. And then Tyler Shaw will be giving his thoughts on the Miami Hurricanes out of the ACC versus Texas A&M out of the SEC. That game's to be played in College Station. So we'll have those two guests. And then in our last segment, we're going to go over all the college football playoff games for this first weekend. We have Oklahoma hosting Alabama. Alabama's number 9. Oklahoma's number 8. That's a rematch of a few weeks ago where Oklahoma prevailed in Tuscaloosa 23-21. We'll discuss Tulane Ole Miss game as well, the Miami Texas A&M game, and then we'll make mention of the James Madison University versus the University of Oregon. That game's up in Eugene. So that's a nice 4 games that they have. Some probably more competitive than the others. But before we bring our guest on in segment 2, we'd like to discuss the Heisman Trophy. I'm a voter for a number of years. I don't recall exactly when I first started, but I really enjoy this process and watching all the players from around the country. And for those of you who didn't know the results, we had Fernando Mendoza of Indiana winning the Heisman Trophy for 2025. We had Diego Pavia out of Vanderbilt coming in second. We had Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame, the running back, coming in third. And I always like to announce my votes because I respect the wishes of the trustees from the Heisman Trophy. They always like us to disclose our votes after the announcement of the winner and all the finalists. So my number 1 vote was Fernando Mendoza. I had a chance to watch Fernando when he played for the University of California against Auburn. He was 15 for 17, I think, for one half, and they beat Auburn on the road at Auburn. And I had also a chance to visit with his head coach, Curt Cignetti, this summer at the Big Ten Media Days, and he asked me directly, point blank, what did I think of his quarterback? And I told him, I said, I think you have the best one, because I fell in love with him that time that I watched him beat the Auburn Tigers on the Plains. I liked his pocket presence, his command of the offense, his the way he threw the ball with authority, and he just had a good, accurate arm and vision, and was able to anticipate throws. And those are all the qualities that I like to have in my quarterback if he's leading my team. So Fernando, he was on my list beginning of the year. Of course, I was looking at everybody, but game to game, I watched him, and I thought he had some particularly outstanding Heisman moments, particularly the Penn State game where he came from behind, led that drive. It was probably 80-plus yards. I think every pass was over 10 yards, and it culminated in that touchdown in the back of the end zone. He gave his receivers a chance to catch the football. They high-pointed it, and they made some spectacular catches for him. But he had to place the ball in their hands, and he did in that drive. It saved it preserved his ranking and led them to an undefeated season. Indiana's never been 13-0. They beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. This is Indiana. Let's remember now, a team that one of the records that was less than kind to them throughout the history of their program. I think it was near the bottom, if not the bottom, in FBS level football. So I like the way that Fernando led his team to an undefeated season, the number 1 ranking at Indiana. And Curt Cignetti, he's a big reason for that undefeated season as well, their head coach, and he won a couple of Coach of the Year awards, and this is the second year in a row. It's never been done with some of these organizations. So Fernando was my top vote, and he received 2,362 votes, far and away above the second place finalist, Diego Pavia. That's 1,435. And the only thing I like to say about Diego, I always tell you week to week, he's magic. And I really appreciated what he did in the last 2 years for Clark Lee and company at Vanderbilt University, led him to a 10-2 season, first time to win the 10 games. But I just would like to say, I wish Diego would have displayed more class in his comments to the voters when he didn't win the award, the Heisman Trophy. I think that all the goodwill that he built up vanished with those couple words that he directed towards the voters. And I don't think that's his first time that he's made this type of mistake. So this is becoming a pattern, and I'm really disappointed for Diego Pavia. I hope that somebody can sit him down and explain to him about sportsmanship and showing class. And that word is rarely used anymore in sports or any other part of our life. But I'm a big believer in Coach Bryant. Always show your class. If you don't, it doesn't matter. My third vote was Jeremiah Smith, the outstanding receiver from Ohio State. He came in sixth in the voting, had 84 votes. I just thought that Jeremiah, he was the difference maker for Ohio State. I know the quarterback had a good year, Julian Sain, but without Jeremiah Smith, he commands the double teams and frees up the areas on the field for other people to perform and succeed. So those are my votes. Fernando Mendoza, the winner, number one. Diego Pavia, I had number two. Jeremiah Smith, number three. So we're going to be right back after these messages with our guests. And so listen to these messages from our sponsor. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsor with AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. And we're back with AP as we see it, and our very special guest, a friend of the show, Leanne Herring. She's the Director of Recruiting for Rebel Walk, USA Today, also a columnist for Saturday Down South. She's involved with Kentucky, Houston. She's telling me all these things, so it's hard to keep up with Leanne. She's on the move.
Well, I don't know if I'm as much on the move as you, but I definitely, after being in the SEC for so long, branching out into the Big 12, covering Houston football and basketball this season. As you can probably see, Houston's not on the board, but we got Memphis and Vanderbilt going on. So, you know, a lot of people don't know AP. That's where I got my start after working in corporate sports, was college basketball at a small beat, and it was Kentucky basketball. So everything's come full circle. But man, talk about, there is a lot going on, of course, between bowl season, portal season on the verge, of course, the coaching carousel. So let's get to it.
Yeah, Ole Miss football. They have the playoff game in the state of Mississippi. I would say that's probably one of the biggest sporting events ever in the state, except when maybe Notre Dame visited in 1977. I think I'm trying to think of the biggest sporting event in the state of Mississippi.
No, this is something that I think that even despite everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, this has been a reward for the players, the team, you know, being in transition, and for the city of Oxford itself. You know, we talk a lot about anyone, whether you're an Ole Miss fan or not, anyone who's ever experienced a game day in Oxford. It's truly a unique experience. Like I said, being able to host a CFP in this first round coming up against Tulane is going to be not just huge for the program itself, but a reward for the town and the town of Oxford, you know, who just lives and breathes SEC football.
I think one of the most fascinating things about Ole Miss, besides Lane Kiffin leading his teams to the playoff for the first time, is the discovery of Trinidad Chambliss from Division II Ferris State, and he was able to be inserted into the lineup after an injury to Austin Simmons, and he never was back on the bench.
You know, he's a wonderful story, and it just goes to show in an age it's so, you know, so caught up in NIL with recruiting, having rosters built with 4 and 5 stars and elite names. And then here's Trinidad Chambliss, and just comes with the trump card, the ultimate checkmate, like you said, comes in just by chance. You know, and we talked about it, I believe, last time on the show. A lot of people don't realize that Trinidad Chambliss, you know, was out in Michigan out there, He's a gifted basketball player, wasn't even going to play football at the D2 level. They weren't even going to give him a shot to play D2 at Ferris State. But the story goes that the head football coach down there saw him on the hardwood and was just super impressed with what he could do and knew that his athleticism was beyond something that he had seen and gave him the opportunity. And he won a D2 national championship title here, and then caught the eyes of plenty, like many players do. After, I always say that there's a lot of talent out there, but sometimes with so much talent being overseen by the 4 and the 5 stars on the national scale, it takes that one right moment in that one right stage. And Trinidad Chambliss really caught the eyes of not just Ole Miss. We just happened to luck out and land him, and the rest is history. And now, it's fitting, I think, him leading this team, because of course for Ole Miss, writing a chapter of history, the first this 10-1 season, in program history, being able to have not just a big berth, like a bowl berth, but obviously being able to be in the college football playoffs, and then being led by a kid who, like I said, wasn't even supposed to have an opportunity to play football at the D2 level, and now he's anchoring one of the best teams probably in program history.
Absolutely. And Leanne, do you think there's a scenario where Ole Miss, these two things would have to happen, I believe. Ole Miss would have a letdown, and Tulane would have to play much better than the 10 points they scored in the first game, 45-10 victory by Ole Miss?
Being in Houston, on the basketball side, you get to, ironically, you hear a lot from the coaches, and Kelvin Sampson, always has words of wisdom. And even though we're talking about football, this is going to be a tough game. Everyone expects Ole Miss, because already of facing Tulane, we know what we're going to expect. However, you can't treat this game like you did before. Ole Miss is going to have to come ready. Tulane's looking to play spoiler, so I think that you have to approach, like I've heard Coach Amp say, you can't compare a previous game, a previous team to what you have in front. And I think Ole Miss is going to have to come and play. Quite simple. We can sit out here and dissect the X's and O's. I can talk about what Tulane did in the last game, but that's a little bit, that to me isn't irrelevant. It's in the past, because that team that we saw them play and that Ole Miss dominated is not going to be the same team coming in, because again, both these teams are coming with a chip on their shoulder with a lot to prove. Definitely Tulane coming not too far down the road, from NOLA down to Oxford, trying to play spoiler. And there's nothing more dangerous than a team who is very underrated. You can say what you want about Tulane, and maybe they're not in a top conference, but Tulane does produce a lot of top talent, including a lot of top coaches. Right here in Houston, we have Willie Fritz now after 2 seasons.
Yes.
Longtime coach at Tulane. He is, as the story goes with Willie, every time he hits a program, he wins. And, now his coaches are being plucked, to go to SEC schools. So again, Tulane is not a team that you can sleep on. Yes, we dominated in that first meeting, but again, new game, new day. And with the CFP on the line, there's a lot at stake, and 2 teams looking with a lot to prove, and a lot of proving ground going to be happening in Oxford. But by no means are both these teams going to come in without a chip on their shoulder. It's going to be a tough matchup.
Mm-hmm. Tulane's rushing defense is ranked 30th, I guess, allowing 120 yards. And another sensational, outstanding player on the offensive side, I don't know if it was a surprise to everyone, but Kuwan Lacey, 1,279 yards. The 20 touchdowns, he broke that record at Ole Miss.
Kewan Lacey is just one of those special, rare talents, and it's been for Ole Miss, they've been really blessed the last couple seasons since Lane Kiffin even after his departure, to be able to really bring that running back room. I used to joke early on, with some of the assistants and things that, man, if we really got this run game going at Ole Miss, I've always been a fan of a run game for lots of reasons at my days at Brown, because I feel like it's a way to cut. I always say it's a game plan that rarely ever fails. It takes time off the clock. It wears down a defense, and more than likely ends in points. And I think for Ole Miss, I think when they found the secret sauce, really building this running back room over the 2 years, and getting Kewan Lacey over to transfer from Missouri was a huge deal, and just really opened the door. Of course, right now, as portal hits, and with Lane Kiffin leaving there, and of course Ole Miss announcing that they're going to bring in Ironically, LSU interim head coach Frank Wilson, who's also one heck of a recruiter, and there's
Right.
also talks that he will probably be the new running backs coach, which leaves
Yes.
will Ole Miss continue with be able to have Keywan Lacey? We know that of course Kevin Smith has been a staple as a running back coach here at Ole Miss, but there's also rumblings that he will eventually end up in Baton Rouge with Lane Kiffin, and there's a strong possibility that Keywan Lacey will follow him because we all know at the end of the day, it's about roots and relationships. And Kevin Smith and Keywan Lacey, Kevin Smith was played a huge role in Keywan Lacey ultimately coming to Ole Miss the first time around. But right now, talking with some of the players and athletes, the sentiment is just focused on what's at hand, and that's this first round game. And I think that's kind of the sentiment. It's been a difficult time for these players. Like Coach Golding said when he took the reins, we got to bring back focus to what these guys have done because for those first couple weeks in Oxford leading up to Kiffin's departure, and just kind of the way that it all went about was just, it was a stressful situation. It's a mental situation, and I don't care how good a team you are. The mental strain that it took on this team was difficult, but it's really good to see Golding, of course, rebuilding his staff, bringing in a lot of familiar faces that started out when Kiffin had first arrived. It's kind of interesting how things are full circle. I think a lot of the players have been talking about it still remained consistent. I think that there's a big chip on this shoulder, and I think we're going to see a lot grittier Ole Miss team coming into this matchup against Tulane than we've seen before.
Mm-hmm. Now, you haven't seen Pete Golding be on the sideline as a head coach, but you mentioned more gritty. Any other changes you might see that bring on his personality to the team? About a minute and a half, Leanne.
I think with Pete Golding, he's obviously the ultra opposite of what Lane Kiffin was his staff. And I think, not to be cliche, you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And I think Pete Golding is exactly what Ole Miss and this staff needed and this team needed at the right time. He's all about business. He's focused. He's not about social media. He's not about other things other than tweeting a link. And what you've heard, this has always been his dream job. Of course, Hammond, Louisiana native, played over at Delta State, has lots of roots. And, a lot of people don't realize that even though he's been our defensive coordinator, when it comes on the recruiting trail, he and coaches like Randall Joyner, who are still remaining on staff, have played an intricate part on this recruiting trail and been able to make this transition for the Rebels a lot smoother than anticipated. He's really done a fabulous job in keeping things in attack and keeping consistent. But again, I think that the mood here is just, let's stand on business. Let's play gritty, and this is not about winning parties. It's about winning ball games and championships.
Hey, Leanne Herring, thank you so much. A Rebel Walk, Director of Recruiting, a columnist for Saturday Down South, Kentucky, Houston. She's everywhere in different conferences as well. So thank you so much, Leanne, and we'll be right back after these messages with AP as we see it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Leanne. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. And we're back with AP as we see it, and a friend of the show, Tyler Shaw, sports director at KBTX, College Station, Texas. How you doing, Tyler? Welcome to AP as we see it.
I'm doing great. How are you doing, AP?
Oh, great. This college football season, Tyler, I have enjoyed, like always, the upsets, the teams that emerge, and Texas A&M is one of those teams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Probably to the surprise of many.
Right.
They would be in this position. I mean, when you start the year, the way they ended last year, but man, they made some changes in the offseason, and really they made their kind of I'm here moment. Welcome to the top of college football back in what was that, week 3, where they're in South Bend and they pull off that win at Notre Dame, and that kind of opened the eyes to a lot of people. Like, okay, I think this team is for real. And they backed that up by winning their first 11 games of the season. Then of course losing that last one to Texas, not getting to the SEC championship game. But cemented themselves as a playoff team, several weeks back. No matter how the end of this regular season, would have shaken up.
Yeah, that's a nice feeling to enter your last game knowing you're in the playoffs. You want to beat your rival, but it's not imperative. And so there was less pressure. What happened in that Texas game, Tyler, that maybe was different during the course of the season?
Well, part of it was I think they faced just a really, really good Texas team that, that they kind of sealed their own fate with how their season went. But they're a team that felt like they belonged in the playoff too.
Right.
So that's part of it. To me, the thing I guess the way I describe or explain it from what I saw is maybe it was the pressure a little bit. I mean, this is a team that was doing things that hadn't been done in a really long time. They've won the most games in 30 years. A Texas A&M team since the early 90s. They haven't done this. They needed to beat their rival no matter what, Aggie fans want to beat Texas. I mean, that is the game on the schedule. So there's that pressure.
Yes.
There's the pressure of we win this, we're undefeated, we get a first-round bye, we're going to the SEC title game, which, by the way, we've never done before. They haven't won a conference title since 1998. That was when they were in the Big 12.
Right.
So much was riding on that. Again, they were already in the playoffs, so you could say it didn't matter a whole lot, but it did matter for the historic context and what they were accomplishing this season. So I don't know, maybe the pressure to be perfect kind of weighed down on them a little bit, and they kind of the connection that's been there with Marcel and the receivers all season seemed a little off. Really, it's seemed a little off the past few games of the season. So that'll be interesting to see what this, what that'll look like in the playoff.
Get the magic back. Do you sense, Tyler, that they've exhaled now? They're playing a home game against Miami.
I think so. And it's one of those, like, let's say they would have beaten Texas, they would have for sure gotten, I think a first round bye, even if they had lost in Atlanta. This might be better for them though. Because then if that happens, the pressure is still on to, stay perfect, and you're going onto a neutral side and a big bowl game and a huge environment. I think coming back to where you're comfortable, having one of the best home field advantages in the country at Kyle Field, that will kind of maybe help them kind of get back on the right track. So maybe this was the best thing that could have happened to them. I mean, we'll see after Saturday if that's true or not. But I think the time off, they haven't played since that Texas game. They didn't play conference championship weekend. So they've had a couple weeks now to regroup and get healthy, which I think could be the difference of this game is the health that they have now.
Mm-hmm. I'm waiting for them to win to see if they buy the stadium to play Ohio State for a day. They purchased the whole stadium for the day. Maybe, I don't know. If they win and
go to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas and have that kind of quasi home game again in the quarter, that would be crazy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That'd be well. Who's some of the key players that have their health or getting better?
So the first. We'll see if he's ready to go. But Le'Veon Moss, who's been their feature back past 2 years, not played the last 6 games of the season. So he got hurt October 11th against Florida. Hasn't seen the field since. Now their running game hasn't really suffered because they've got Reuben Owens, who's been very, very solid, and you have Jamarian Moore, who's a freshman who's kind of stepped up into a big role. And even E.J. Smith, a senior who's been buried on the depth chart before, he's stepped up into a pretty good role. So their running back room has been good. But the talent and what Le'Veon Moss brings, kind of the bulldozer that he is, that just adds another dimension. He's been practicing. So we went to practice on Tuesday. He was out there, seemed real mobile, moving around everything. So all signs are pointing to that he should be available. So if he plays, that is going to be the biggest key, having him back. And then when you look at the season as a whole, the MVPs on the offense have been the 2 transfer wide receivers, Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, who KC's seems like a consensus All-American now as an all-purpose guy, because he does the kick return, punt return, and they're top receiver right now, top target. So those kind of three on offense, I think, are going to be the key on that side of the ball, at least.
Yeah. Marcel Reed, you've watched him over time. I saw him against LSU. I was impressed with his authority in the pocket, his command of the offense, and the way he threw the football with precision. And then, of course, you can't catch him.
Yeah, no, he's elusive. And, when he uses his legs, it's deadly. And that adds another dimension. And this year, he seems to make the right plays at the right time. I talked about the last few games where they've kind of stumbled, where they lost Texas. That first half against South Carolina looked really, really bad. Of course, they had the epic comeback. They were down 27, and they came back and they won that game. And they won it because of the plays that Marcel made. Like there was a fourth and what was over 10 yards that he picked up with his legs to keep that drive going and to score a touchdown to kind of that started the momentum. Had he not picked that up, they lose that game. So they're just, these key plays that he's made, he's been clutch. On the flip side of that, like the Texas game, when they were trying to kind of come back and get in it, he had a couple of key interceptions. So I think that's going to be key too. Which Marcel do you get? Do you get the one that makes the right plays at the right time, which we've seen all season? Or do we see those interceptions, in not opportune times?
For sure. These two teams, the wrecking crew for Texas A&M, number one in the country along with Oklahoma, 41 sacks, tackles for loss, or third with 104. On the other side, Miami, 34 sacks themselves and 79 tackles for a loss. So these two defensive lines, front sevens, they can disrupt the offense of the teams. How do you think they might play against Carson Beck? The A&M and Georgia, they rarely played, right? They rarely played football against each other.
Yeah. A&M never Georgia's actually never been to Kyle Field.
Never been.
A&M's been up to Georgia a couple times, but it's been years. So no one on this team has been there. So these two versions of these teams have not played each other. But Carson Beck is used to the SEC. Being at Georgia, he's played in these kind of environments, these kind of teams, these kind of defenses. Now, I think that is going to be key. Can they get to him? Because they've got Cassius Howell, the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, who's just a one-man wrecking machine. I mean, that guy gets to quarterbacks. And just like Marcel has, talked about how he's made the plays to win games. Cassius has done the same on defense, like the LSU game. That was kind of a moment for him to kind of really elevate himself. It's like, okay, this guy's he's a difference maker. He's on another level. Him getting to Carson Beck, I think, is going to be huge. And like you said, that Miami's defensive line is pretty stout as well. So it'll be a big challenge for A&M's offensive line. However, I do think their offensive line is one of the strengths of this team. So it'll be fun to see that matchup.
Mm-hmm. About a minute and a half left. Tyler Shaw, the sports director of KBTX of College Station. That's a CBS affiliate, Tyler?
Yeah, right.
Early ball game, 11 o'clock Central. They'll have all this time to get ready, all this time to get ready with Yale practice the night before. What's the weather going to be on Saturday, Tyler, in College Station?
So it actually should be pretty nice. It's not going to be too cold for a December game. It'll maybe start a little chilly, like in the 50s, but the high I think is like 77. So it's gonna warm up. Oh my goodness, yeah. It's gonna be a warm. So for both teams, they're used to that. Miami So they'll like that. But it's in College Station. They're used to the ups and downs of the weather. I don't think it'll really be a factor.
Mm-hmm. Texas A&M will win if
Texas A&M will win if they can get to Carson Beck, disrupt that quarterback, kind of get him out of his rhythm, and then if A&M can have long sustained drives, they can get that running game going. Like I said, if Le'Veon Moss is there and they stay on the field, keep Miami's offense off the field, I think they got a really good shot.
Yeah, Miami's defense 11th overall, 30th in the path, 7th against the run. So it'll be quite a challenge for them. But they're playing at home. They'll have that crowd to support them. Hey, Tyler Shaw, where can folks find you, Tyler?
Yeah, so Tyler Shaw Sports on Twitter, KBTX.com. That's where all of our content goes. And, you can find me there.
Hey, thank you so much, Tyler Shaw, KBTX Sports Director, College Station, Texas. And we'll be right back after these messages with another segment of AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. And we're back with AP as we see it, and we'd like to thank our guest, Leanne Herring from the Rebel Walk, Director of Recruiting, USA Today. She's a columnist with the Saturday Down South, and also Tyler Shaw. He's the sports director of KBTX, CBS affiliate in College Station, Texas. We discussed those games, Tulane versus Ole Miss with Leanne, and Miami versus Texas A&M with Tyler. So we'd like to move on to those other college football games that are being played this weekend. Friday evening, Alabama travels to Norman, Oklahoma. That series stands at 5-2-1 in favor of Oklahoma. Alabama won way back when they had the Orange Bowl with Joe Namath in 1963. January was a 62 season. And they also won not too long ago. They beat Kyler Murray in Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. And then the other time was a tie. And that was the Houston, Texas game with Blue Bonnet Bowl, 24-24 after Blue Bonnet Bowl. And they tied 24-24, I believe it was. But anyway, Alabama's taking their team to Norman, looking for a win. The first game, Alabama had the 3 turnovers early. It was later in the season. I think it was the 9th game, I believe. So they had the 3 turnovers, led to points for Oklahoma, especially that outstanding 87-yard interception return by Oklahoma. If they just tackled them near that point, they could have held them defensively, maybe got the ball back on a short field. But he ran 87 yards, and that really changed the complexion of the game. They had a couple other turnovers as well. And Ty Simpson, he was under duress for quite a few plays during the game, 4 sacks by the Sooners. R. Mason Thomas returns. He's an all-SEC defensive lineman, 6.5 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss. He forced a couple of fumbles. He even ran for a 71-yard touchdown against Tennessee. So he's a force coming back for Oklahoma as they play that game on Friday evening. Alabama is averaging, let's get those averages for you, is averaging in the run 116 yards, was 116th in the country. Passing 273 yards, that's 21st in the country, and total offense 389, which is 67th in the country. But Alabama's a passing team, make no doubt. They can't run the football. They're having trouble. I don't know if it's the talent, the coaching, combination of both, but and the running backs as well. But they haven't been successful. -3 yards they had the game this season, which is historically a low figure. Oklahoma 123 yards a game. That's 106. They're not much better. 229 yards a game passing, that's 61st, 353 yards, total offense 88th. So Oklahoma's a defensive team. They like to pressure you, force the turnovers, play for the field position, and John Mateer and company make some plays. Their wide receiver, Isaiah Satania, 65 receptions, 948 yards, 7 TDs. He's very good. Alabama's waiting for Ryan Williams. They're sophomore. He was a super sensational freshman All-America, but he struggled this year. But if he could come alive this game on the road for the Tide, that'd be a difference maker. For Alabama to win this game, they have to keep Ty Simpson away from the pressure enough times where he can look at his receivers, the first choice, second choice, third choice, and beyond, because he's a very accurate passer. But when he's under the pass rush from these teams. His percentage has went way down, and he's not played well in the last 4 or 5 games. And offensively, if he's not playing well, then Alabama's in trouble, which we saw against Georgia, 7 points the entire game. So Alabama, they need to protect their quarterback. Alabama's scoring 31 points a game, Oklahoma 26. Alabama's defense playing pretty well, 17 points a game, and we know Oklahoma does as well, 14 points a game. Oklahoma, number 1 in the country, tied with Texas A&M, 41 sacks, and they're number 1 with the tackles for loss, 115 tackles for losses. Just to give you an idea, Alabama's 40th in that category with only 74 tackles for losses. So the game plan is very clear for Alabama. Keep the defense away from Ty Simpson, and for Oklahoma, play good defense, give John Mateer and company a chance to make some plays, keep the team close to Alabama by playing good defense and keeping them out of the end zone. So it'll be a good ball game. Alabama's a 1.5 point favorite on the road, which is kind of surprising. But like I say, Oklahoma's offense is struggles at time. So we'll see what happens. But that's a good ball game on Friday night. Good matchup, 8 and 9. Both teams out of the Southeastern Conference. The second game, Miami number 10, Texas A&M number 7. Miami 34 points a game, Texas A&M 36. Miami allows 14 points a game, Texas A&M 22. Offensively, Miami, they rush for 150 yards. That's 77. Passing 275. That's 18th in the country. Overall, offensively, 425 yards, pretty big numbers, 29th in the country. A&M, 192 yards a game rushing, strong ground game. And we know that one of their top running backs is returning to 25th in the country in that category. 261 yards passing. That's 32nd in the country overall. 20th in offense, 454 yards. Marcel Reed, we know he's very good, dual threat quarterback. If you leave him enough time, he can be accurate. He has a command in that pocket, throws with authority. And we know Carson Beck, the former Georgia quarterback, he's had his moments. Defensively, Miami, 7th against the rush. I can't wait to see their rush defense against A&M's rush offense, which is 25th in the country. 7th in rush defense, only 87 yards. Pass defense, very good as well, 30th with only 190 yards. And total defense, 277. And that's 11th in the country. Texas A&M, 38th, rush defense, 127 yards. 21st in the pass defense, 182 yards. Overall, 19th in the country. Pretty good. 209 yards a game. The turnover category is 0.75 for Miami. That's 12th in the country. It's a positive. Texas A&M is 0.558. That's 111th. One other thing we want to mention about Miami, 34 sacks a game. They're right near A&M at 41. We told you they're tied with Oklahoma. Cassius Howell is outstanding player, number 1 in the defensive player in the conference. The 104 tackles for loss, Texas A&M, the Aggies. And Miami's not too far behind, 79. Just want to make mention on the turnover categories for Alabama. Just regress for a moment. 0.54 for Alabama, that's 26. Oklahoma minus 0.17, that's 80th. So those are 2 great ball games. Miami is the underdog by 5.5 points. Texas A&M favored at College Station. They'll have a big crowd, 100,000 people. They haven't played very much in that series. It's 3-2 in favor of Miami. So it should be a tough ball game. Two pretty good quarterbacks. And let's see who has the hot hand and whose defense rises to the occasion by pressuring the other team's quarterback, because we know that makes a difference in this quarterback-centric era, as we said many, many, many times. So let's go to the next game. We're going to look at Tulane and Ole Miss. Tulane and Ole Miss, they played this season. Ole Miss took care of business in Oxford, 45-10, 35-point difference. Tulane is number 11 out of the American Athletic Conference, 29 points a game. Number 6, Ole Miss out of the SEC, 37 points a game. Ole Miss is offense number 3 in the country. 498 yards. That's 3rd in the country. 309 yards passing. That's 3rd. 188 yards rushing. That's 31st. Tulane rushing 170. That's 55th in the country. Also 55th in passing, 240 yards a game. 41st in offense with 410 yards per game. Defensively, Tulane 120 yards they allowed. That's 30th. 252 yards passing. That's a problem because that's 121st in the country. And we know Ole Miss is a passing team primarily, but they're excellent at the run as well. 375 yards, like 66th in the country. Ole Miss's defense, 150 yards, that's 70th in the country. 20th in passing, 182 yards they allow, very good. 333 yards, and they're 33rd in the country overall with their total defense. Turnovers, 0.77, that's 11th for Tulane. Negative 0.17, that's 80th for Ole Miss. 22 points a game they allow in defense to Green Wave, and Ole Miss 20 points a game. We know that Trinidad Chambliss, he's leading that offense that allows 498 yards a game. The running back, Ole Miss, they like to run the ball. Kewan Lacey, one of the better runners, 1,279 yards, 20 TDs. He broke that school record. No question about it. Broke that record. Ole Miss, 63 tackles for loss. That's 84th in the country. But watch that running game with Kewan Lacey. That's 1,279 yards, 20 TDs. Now, the last game on the schedule, we're not going to discuss as much because James Madison University out of the Sun Belt, they're number 12. They're the final team in the playoff. They're playing number 5, Oregon. Oregon's a 21.5 favorite out of the Big Ten. Oregon, Dan Lanning and company, they should take care of business up there. Even if James Madison stays close early, I think that crowd, that offensive prowess, excuse me, of the Ducks is going to be too much to handle up in the Northwest, and Oregon should proceed to the next round, which would be in the Orange Bowl against Texas Tech. So those are 4 nice games. 2 of them might get out of hand possibly, but the other 2, Oklahoma hosting Alabama and Texas A&M hosting Miami, those could be tight. And we'll see how these quarterbacks perform and the defenses as well. But anyway, we wanted to thank our guests, our sponsors, Greer's Markets. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. We also want to thank Dr. Jason Northcutt, Robertsdale Dental Care, 251-947-3636, and the Cortland Grand Hotel, downtown Atlanta. Ben Giacomo and staff, check them out as well. Give them a holler and make your reservations. But we'll see you next week after we watch these college football playoff games. And we'll be on the road in the coming weeks at these bowl games. So we'll give you all these interviews. You can watch our interviews at our website, our YouTube channel at AP As We See It. So until next week, we'll be back with another episode of AP As We See It. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.